Today, I am talking with Sean P. Griffin, a board certified intimacy educator and producer. And Sean has come by. He has just launched a new sexual intimacy product. And I wanted him to tell you a bit about it. But I also had a few questions for him about sexual intimacy, understanding the shame around that, understanding expectation, and how toys can help hurt that. I don't think they can hurt it, but who knows? Let's see. All right, Sean, can you tell us a bit about what you got going on?
So, as Will mentioned, I'm a board certified intimacy educator. So that means that I basically help people out with any of their issues in the bedroom, whether they're feeling a lack of connection with their partner, or if they have a lack of understanding due to just the absence of sexual education that they received in schooling. So I work with couples and poly relationships and single people, all assisting with their issues. And I also just launched a line of products called the Bussy Builder. And the Bussy Builder is a line of anal training kits, which are specifically designed for prostate owners. So anyone that's got a prostate, the issue that a lot of these brands have is that they do not target the prostate for anal training, which means it's not as pleasurable as it could be. So these ones are specifically designed at every size to target your prostate while sizing up your sphincter and improving elasticity without making it too loose.
All right, Sean, it's great that you built the product. I think it's going to be great for men. Anyone with the prostate, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing.
And trans women.
And trans women, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. When it comes to toys, a lot of men will use toys. They'll do it privately. They might not use it with their partner, but a lot of times in my practice, I find there's a lot of hesitation for men to bring toys into the bedroom with their partner. What do you think is around that?
I think that and this is similar with people of all sexualities, is that there's often this shame feeling like they're not good enough, that they need assistance, or they're not able to please their partner without external assistance, meaning that it puts a lot of pressure on them to think, do I not know what I'm doing? Am I inadequate for my partner? Do they think that they need something extra or something missing in either our intimacy or in our relationship? And it's honestly, that's far from the truth. So if we're talking from penile to vaginal intercourse, the majority of people with vaginas require some sort of external stimuli beyond just human to human contact. So already, and that's just either due to them finding what works best for their bodies that may not even be achievable through another human body. So that should have no shame to it. And if anything, being present and being another just like energy within the bedroom is enhancing their experience, whether they're using a toy or not. So it should not be any kind of source of shame for people to think that my partner needs to use a toy. Or in the case of, for example, using a training kit, some people's bodies are not ready for full-on intimacy or intercourse. So sometimes it's just the intensity of having another human body or a penis inside of you that is not, maybe they're not ready for that amount of intensity. So using lower, smaller toys or toys that might be a little bit less intense for them is going to help them also adapt. So it could be as well that they're feeling inadequate and they feel like, oh, I need to warm up with a toy, or I need to train myself up with a toy. So it's totally from both angles. It should not be a source of shame by any means.
I can see how people can feel that, oh, maybe I'm inadequate. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not big enough. Maybe I'm not hitting all the right spots. But honestly, when I've ever used a toy with a partner, it takes the pressure off me because I don't have to work as hard.
Yeah.
And to me, that's great, knowing that I can be there for them. I can be in the same energy, having a good time, doing what it is that they like. And a toy doesn't take anything away from that. Toys actually add to it, in my experience.
It helps you reach different levels of intensity. It helps you also achieve potential full body orgasms, or also to trigger multiple pleasure zones that maybe you can't physically please all at one time, but gives you this additional rush of euphoria if they're all triggered simultaneously.
Yes. All right. We know toys, nothing to be ashamed about. A lot of people feel shame, but nothing to be ashamed about for sure. What emotional needs would you say that men are trying to explore, trying to meet either consciously, subconsciously, when they are exploring different types of toys.
Well, I think that especially if you're talking about like solo play exploration, if you're going through masturbation and experimenting with toys in that aspect, it could just be that they feel, if they're wanting to explore anal sex or anal pleasure, then it could be that they're wanting to step into that world of anal play, but maybe they're a little apprehensive because they've never done it. Or maybe in the case of a lot of people, that they maybe had a bad first experience and they're basing all of the rest of their knowledge base on anal sex off of that first experience. So it could be that they're just trying to warm themselves up to the idea again, or they're exploring, is this something that I do actually enjoy? The other thing too is that it kind of gives a judgment-free space for them to experiment either anally or penilely. So like if you're looking to explore different methods of where your pleasure zones are, what your trigger points are, what you do and don't like, then that's definitely an aspect of your own emotions that you're trying to like work through in terms of that. In terms of bringing it into partnered play, it could also sometimes be used as a supplement in terms of people to feel like maybe they're having difficulty feeling adequate with their partner, or their partner has already had a conversation with them about what does trigger their pleasure zones, and then working through that to make sure that they're also able to complete their sexual sessions complete the journey. Yes. But ultimately it really does come down to a person-to-person basis. They might have different emotional reasons for using it. Something that should be noted though is a lot of people do get a psychological reliance on those toys sometimes. So it should, I would say with anything pleasurable should be approached in moderation. So I think that sometimes using a toy, if using a toy during masturbation, you might sometimes have a brought on anxiety if you're trying to have intercourse without a toy. So it is good to sometimes cycle off the toy, especially if you're using anything like a masturbator or anything that triggers the penis. It's very important that you do practice both self-pleasure with and without the toy to make sure that you're not fully relying on that, because those masturbators do give you an inhuman amount of pleasure when you use those. So sometimes it makes it more difficult to perform with a partner if you're using those types of masturbators all the time. So practicing self-pleasure with and without those products can sometimes help you to better achieve completing the journey, if you will.
I've heard a lot of people in my sessions, outside of sessions, just talking to them, talking about if I use a vibrator women, if I use a vibrator too much, I, like you mentioned, I feel like when I'm having sex that I'm not gonna be able to orgasm without that. And that's kind of like a mental block. So I think what you're saying about using it with a partner, without a partner, make sure that reliance isn't 100%,
right,
that it can be a very good thing.
Yeah, definitely, because the having it does really more than any kind of physical desensitization, it emotionally desensitizes you. So it does make you almost develop a crutch for that product sometimes. And I would say though that depending on what your unique pleasure triggers are, that maybe that's not an issue for you. Maybe you always do have access to a toy, or maybe you do always just prefer to have intercourse with a toy. And that's totally fine.
Yeah.
But if you're wanting to sort of cycle between, if you do want to have partner play without a toy, then it is important to sometimes have that sort of experience by yourself and to train yourself up emotionally by yourself in your own personal pleasure to then be able to achieve that amount of pleasure with a partner.
You mentioned something about trauma being like if people have some type of sexual trauma, maybe their first experience with any type of anal intercourse was just not good. So how could something like the Bussy Builder or other toys, in your experience and how you've talked to other people, how can that help with that trauma?
Basically, a lot of the trauma, and it's not always trauma in the sense of being like traumatic like we're thinking of, but it could just be that they had an inconsiderate top. They had a top that didn't know what they were doing, that didn't try to reach any of either the prostate or any of their pleasure zones internally. And if you don't hit any of the pleasure zones and you have someone just sort of going really intense on you the first time,
that doesn't work.
it's not a pleasurable experience. It doesn't give you a good experience to it. It doesn't give you a good baseline reference for what this is going to be like. And if you're using toys such as the Bussy Builder that are specifically designed to both like slowly train you up to take the real thing, and it also is specifically designed to target your prostate, so it's specifically designed at every level to hit the pleasure zone. That way you're sort of attuning yourself more to being like, this is what sex should feel like, this is what intimacy could achieve in terms of where my pleasure zone is and the heights of pleasure that you can achieve through it. And especially when you're practicing this, I mean, you can practice it with a trusted partner, but you can also, it's a good thing to train up with it alone, because then you're in sort of the safety of your own, it's once again a judgment-free and totally safe space to sort of experiment with that and really test how far you're comfortable with going in your own pleasure that you can then take to any sort of partnered play.
We've been talking a lot about toys. A lot of it from the idea of someone with the prostate with the toy that you developed, which is great. What would you say is the biggest lie that men have learned about pleasure in general? And how do you think that is hurting their mental health?
One factor of it, which is sort of presented also with the toy that I've developed, is that you need to be extra long, and the longer that you are, the more pleasure that it delivers.
As the penis.
As the penis, yes.
Okay.
So if a size does not pleasure make. Sometimes if people are not used to having that large of a penis in them, then maybe they're going to be experiencing more pain than pleasure if they haven't properly attuned themselves for it. But beyond that, the prostate is only about 3.5 to 4.5 inches from the entrance of the sphincter. So if you're going beyond that, you're really satisfying more of a kink rather than actually targeting a lot of the pleasure zones within someone born with a prostate's anatomy.
I would also add that also for women, straight couples, the G-spot is only about that far. I don't even know, 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches inside and up. So guys, if you need to know, go up.
Go up.
Okay,
Always
sorry.
go up. That's okay. Yeah. And if you're having anal intercourse with someone with a prostate, you should always aim towards the pelvis. The prostate is located closer towards the pelvis at the base of the penis and between the testicles and the penis. So you always want to aim that direction if you're looking to target the prostate, which is a major thing that a lot of tops do not know how to do or don't realize that they need to do. But in terms of getting back to lies that they've been told, so basically you do not, a lot of guys have this kind of size shame in their head about not being long enough to pleasure. Really, it's all about how you maneuver. It's not necessarily how long you are. If you know how to maneuver, you can get a lot done with not a lot.
It's the whole motion of the ocean.
It's the motion of the ocean. And then another one that we discussed earlier is that using toys with your partner is a sign of inadequacy. We discussed this earlier, but it absolutely is not. There's a lot of instances where toys can sort of induce even more pleasure than would be humanly possible without it. And especially if you're people that are very well versed in your intimacy, then introducing a toy can heighten the connection with your partner rather than think that it's building a wall between your partner and you because you've introduced something that's sort of foreign into the mix.
All right. The thing that I would like to add to that is this whole idea that if you're straight, that anal play is just not good for you. If you're straight, you're not going to like it. I've done different anal play type experiences with women, and it doesn't make me want to date men.
Exactly.
That's so weird, right?
Oh, no. So weird. So weird. No, it really seriously comes down to anatomy. Exactly. So whether you are gay or straight does not mean that you are born with a more sensitive prostate. Agreed. The prostate is getting triggered regardless of what your sexuality is. So basically, if you have experienced an orgasm in any way, then you've experienced prostate pleasure.
Because that's what's actually working to. I'm not a scientist or a doctor, but that's what's working to actually push out the semen.
Yeah, so basically the prostate is when you ejaculate, it's the prostate flexing to push the semen out through your penis. So basically that rush of euphoria that you get with each pump whenever you're orgasming, that's your prostate doing its work. And what you're inducing during anal sex with someone with a prostate is you're basically triggering that flex before needing to ejaculate, so you can effectively get multiple orgasms as someone with a prostate in the same way that someone with a vagina could if you trigger the prostate. And if you've ever experienced that, if you just get over that mental block of sticking something up my butt makes me gay, then you're gonna have so much pleasure and you'll totally understand it as soon as you experience it. I mean, I identify predominantly as a top, but I've experienced being a bottom, and that pleasure is incredible. You know, it's something that when you open your mind to it and you actually experience it in a comfortable way, you're going to like it. It's definitely something, or you're going to get a euphoric trigger from it. I should say. I shouldn't say that you'll like it, but you'll get a euphoria from it. So it's definitely not a gay straight issue. It's a comfortability with your own body.
I think it's exactly what you said. It's anatomy. We are born with the same anatomy. You like men, I like women.
Yeah.
That doesn't change the fact that we can both enjoy any type of prostate play that's out there.
Yeah.
That was Ask an Expert with Sean P. Griffin, who is a board certified intimacy educator and producer. Recently coming out with the Bussy Builder made for anyone with a prostate. So men, please go out, buy one, enjoy it. Have a good time. Sean, thank you so much for your time. I know you're a busy guy. I appreciate it. And where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, where you can find everybody. You can find my personal work at Sean P. Griffin on Instagram, or you can follow the product at the Bussy Builder on Instagram. You can also find out more educational content and purchase the product at www.bussybuilder.com.
Lots of options out there, just like the toys. So, everyone, have better sex, have better times, and see you next time.